Jon Mozes from the Altoona Curve joins us this morning. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people. We do, John, judge the Altoona Curve by the results we're seeing on the field, and they're pretty good. Another good week, huh?
Yeah. Another week of fun. 4 wins out of 6 games against the Akron Rubber Ducks. I think that was a pretty good measuring stick for where the Curve are at this year. Akron's one of the other good teams in the Southwest Division. It's interesting the way the standings have sort of shaken out this year, that you've got 5 teams in the West that are all playing very well, and the Curve are right there in the thick of it.
Yeah, well, that's the interesting thing to me as well, because we know that Akron is typically a team that really fields a strong group, and because of that, to take 4 out of 6 is pretty impressive. And the shutout yesterday, how about that? Now, we don't think of Pasatino as somebody who is a great prospect because he doesn't throw 100 zillion miles an hour, but it takes a pretty good guy with some pretty good skills to figure out how to make it work when you don't have fantastic stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Jeff's a little bit of a throwback in the way that he sort of works in the mid-'80s with his fastball, which, almost sounds like maybe a pretty good high school pitcher or a decent college pitcher, but he has such a great ability to manipulate the baseball that he can throw breaking balls for strikes. He can bite them out of the zone. He just doesn't throw anything that's straight. And yesterday was really just a masterful performance. Just the 4 hits, 1 walk. He's turned out to be really, really solid every time he's taken the ball this year. 1 run or less in all but 1 outing this year. Just an impressive outing. And, the Curve bullpen shut things down pretty easily yesterday following Pasatino, and the second shutout win of the season was a nice way to finish the week.
Yeah, it really was, and it points out that the Pirates have some pretty nice arms, some pretty heady ball players who are throwing the baseball for them, but they've got the coaching as well. That step from Greensboro up to Altoona is not an easy step to take when you're going from Class A to Double A baseball. That's a pretty steep climb, and guys seem to be doing it pretty well.
Yeah, we've had a couple of guys make the jump in season this year. Trey Mago coming out of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. He made the jump 2 weeks ago, and Trey has shown off some pretty good stuff, but, I think every pitcher and every hitter that has made the jump from high A to Double A has acknowledged that it is probably the most difficult jump you make in minor league baseball, and sometimes it just takes a couple of days or a couple of appearances for a guy to sort of get his feet underneath him, but it's one of the best parts about watching Double A baseball. It's still the make or break level in the minors, and a lot of guys are making good names for themselves so far this year.
Yeah, and that's of course compounded by the fact that with no minor league baseball last year, things aren't as set as normally they might be. Some guys might be starting out at a level at which they should be higher or they should be lower, and without last year to base it upon, it's easy to see that some fellows might find themselves overmatched or undermatched. But looks like these guys at Altoona, they've really put together some nice performances, and because of that, it's time to think about the pitching coaches who are helping the Pirates bring their prospects up through. And Altoona's got a pretty good one.
Yeah, pitching coach Drew Bennis has kept things pretty even keeled. Even when a game gets out of hand, which has happened only once or twice this year. It seems like every guy that gets touched up for runs comes back in a good place and throws well the next 2-3 outings after that. I think that's a nod to the preparation that these guys are putting in between outings and making sure that they do the sort of introspection they need to do to understand what went wrong last time out and improve upon themselves to go out the next time out. So you really tip your cap to some of the guys behind the scenes, and it's been fun to watch so far.
Tough break for G1 to go down, but one of the things we notice about the Pirates is when a prospect comes up who plays infield, he plays more than one position. Rodolfo Castro seems to have made that jump over to the other part of the infield when he's been called upon to play second base, and hasn't hurt him at the plate, and in the field seems okay too.
Yeah, I think that's an important skill for infielders especially, is to play multiple positions on their way up the chain, because very rarely do players, get the opportunity to play just one position when they get called up as a young player to the big leagues. Key Brian Hayes is probably that exception where, he was a third baseman his entire career as a minor leaguer, and he sort of stepped into the everyday job when he's been able to stay healthy for Pittsburgh at third base. And somebody like Castro, I mean, I've been really impressed with his bat this year. He plays with such an infectious energy about his game that when he has a double, he gets up and I start to get fired up, seeing him celebrate at second base as he talks back to his teammates in the dugout. And I think he's got a bright future in front of him. He's just 22, and as a switch hitter, he's always given himself a chance to have the good setup against no matter whether it's a left-handed or right-handed pitcher against him. And he's shown off some impressive power this week. So, he and O'Neill Cruz together in the middle, that's a pretty fun infield combination that Altoona has going right now.
And it's interesting you mention O'Neill Cruz because there are a lot of folks in the Pittsburgh media especially, but also in the scouting ranks that we're hearing from some of the national things that say, that's a guy that they need to convert to right field. They need a right fielder. O'Neill Cruz should be that guy because, let's face it, he's 11 feet tall, and there aren't any 11-foot tall shortstops in Major League Baseball.
Well, I think it's good to remind ourselves that he's just 22. And a player with the type of bat that he projects to have, which, looks to be a guy that could hit somewhere in the range of 30 home runs in a major league season and hit for 270 to 300-ish average. A player that can do that at shortstop is extremely valuable and would be one of the most valuable players in the game if he's able to do that over the course of a full season. So I think until he proves that he cannot play shortstop in the big leagues, I think you keep him there. You can always do that later. You can always flip him to the outfield down the road if you find that the defense is not acceptable enough to play every day in the big leagues at shortstop. And I think what I've seen over the last couple of weeks here is that he's just a guy that's getting used to the game speed again, and that's why you see the high number of errors. I think it's about 9 in about 30 games here, and you say, okay, well, he's still error prone. He's not ready. He's never going to be ready. The team needs. I would encourage everybody to just sort of take a breath when it comes to Cruz's defense, and just sort of remember, like we've talked about, that not having a full year of baseball last season was a big development opportunity for him to do individual skills at shortstop. And now that he can apply some of those skills in game speed, I think it's just going to serve him better down the road as he looks ahead to next season and beyond, potentially in the big leagues.
Jon Mozes with us, the Altoona Curve. Just a couple of moments left. John, pretty good crowds last week for the home series? Absolutely, yeah. Seeing the bobblehead giveaway on Friday night, if only we had a little bit of better weather. But, Saturday and Sunday were absolutely gorgeous days, and we're looking forward to more of that when the team rolls back into town in 2 weeks against Harrisburg. Yeah, so you're in Erie this week, and you go from there, you stay on the road, right? 2 straight and on the road? Oh, yeah, just the week in Erie, and then back to People's Natural Gas Field next Tuesday to start a 6-game series with the Harrisburg Senators. So see some National League Baseball starting again in 2 weeks. Terrific stuff. All right, John, thanks so much for visiting with us today. Thank you. Have a great week. You too. It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160.